Hey friends, welcome to the Apocalypse Homestead. It is March 20th, it's the equinox, and I hope you have survived the winter of severe illness and death. Somehow managed to make it through unaltered. Congratulations, it's a miracle. The immune system is just wild. So I've been wanting to do this for a few weeks really, but everything's just been crazy here. But I wanted to do like monthly homestead updates for you guys now that, especially now that everything is really kicked off in high gear here. So the food systems are really kicking in, and I'm really happy with it. Here we have our rabbits. We've already harvested 6 of them. We've got 7 more here that are almost harvest ready. I'm probably going to sex these out and pick the best looking female so we can have a third doe. Because right now we're on pace for about 2 rabbits per week. So about 100 rabbits a year. So I want to get about 150 rabbits a year so we can get 3 rabbits a week. And I don't think we can do that with 2 does. So we're going to get another doe. We've got 2 bucks, that'll give us 3 does, and we've got 4 rabbits in the freezer. We've eaten 2, we've got 7 more here, and this mama just gave birth, and it looks like she's probably got at least 8, possibly 9, so that's really awesome. So the rabbit production is doing fantastic, right at the right time, as everything's going really well at the right time as the outside world continues to collapse by design. Here's my compost system. It's doing really well. This compost here is about ready to go into the garden. I need to build a compost sifter. I just got the hardware cloth for that. So I'm basically just going to make a 2x6 box and staple the hardware cloth to it, and then you can just dump the compost into the sifter and shake it and get all the uncomposted stuff out of it, the sticks and the twigs and anything that's just not composted. So so here we are in the garden, and the garden is unleashed. It is all finished, and all beds except for 1 are in production, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I've got 11 beds for annual food production, and they're all planted and all seeded and all doing really well. So bed number 1 here has been, we cleared everything out. This was under a tarp all winter actually, so I took a tarp off and broad forked it, added compost, and on this trellis here we have peas, green peas, that'll be for the chicken feed. And then this trellis here is cucumbers. I've got something called Ancash, I believe it's called. Ancash Market. It's from Baker Creek. And then over there we have bush pickle cucumbers. And then beyond the trellis over there I got a little space that I planted some flax. That's for the chicken feed as well. So half this garden here, you can see that it's just been planted out with my tomatoes. This was under tarp all winter. I've got black vernissage and Creole tomatoes. Over there in these beds, you can see that my broccoli has gone to flower. I'm not going to save the seeds from this broccoli because it didn't do well, in particular, that I would want to continue with its genetic line, so to speak. The soil is not quite perfect to grow nice big broccoli heads. They were kind of small. I mean, I enjoyed them. I got a lot of leaves, a lot of greens from them. I'm just letting them go to flower so the bees can have at it. There's lots of honeybees and lots of bumblebees. So that's really awesome. One good thing about the garden being pretty much done, the bulk of the real hard work, crazy work, is I can start weeding. This looks like grass, but there's actually onions in here, and they're not doing particularly. They're not really happy. But hopefully next week I'll pull all this grass out and maybe they'll come back, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. some more winter greens. This is scarlet kale. If you haven't seen it, look how beautiful that is. Beautiful, deep purple color. I got that from Baker Creek. I got some more over here. My collard greens are still doing fantastic. Here's some more. I got some Brussels sprouts. I'm not really sure how well they're going to produce. Like I said, the soil is not yet where it needs to be. So, you know, we've grown some food in there, but and we've done well in some areas and not so well in other areas. But as the seasons progress, as I keep amending, keep adding compost, keep making the soil my own, more of a thing of my own creation rather than, you know, potting soil I bought from Home Depot or the real clay-based soil that that I'm building these beds on. It'll become more a thing of my own making. So this is my my herb bed. Over here, I kind of have these two hose laying in the dirt. Separate, like this area hasn't been planted yet, but over here I've got some culinary herbs. I've got cilantro. I've got blue spice basil and sage. And then over here I have my medicinal herbs. Off the top of my head, I have calendula. I've got lemongrass over there. I have tulsi, holy basil. I've got ashwagandha. I have bergamot, I think it's called. It's called bee balm. I am waiting on an order from Strictly Medicinal and another order from somewhere else. I'm getting comfrey. I'm getting St. John's wort seeds. So I'm getting comfrey root crowns, and I'm getting St. John's wort and mullein seeds. So that'll round up the herb garden. And I might plant some cumin too if I can make room for it. I have cumin seeds. Hopefully they germinate. I really like cumin. This is my allium bed. Got leeks here, onions here. Not doing too terribly bad. Not like grocery store looking onions, I don't think. We'll see what happens when I pick them. But they're not doing too bad. This is my first time really growing onions. And like I said, soil is not great. But they're doing pretty. They look pretty good in this garden bed because because the weeds aren't out of control. And then this is Thai fire garlic. Should be ready in a few months. So this bed here is for my chicken feed. You can see I've got barley here. Can't really see it here, but there is quinoa sort of growing here. And I don't know what's going on in the center here. I planted Malay and amaranth, and I can't really tell if it's germinating, if anything's growing. But over here I have Hopi black dye sunflowers, which are growing pretty decently. My primary focus right in this garden right now, as far as a sustainable, off-grid, end-of-the-world, apocalypse kind of situation, is can I grow enough feed to feed my chickens when the grid goes down? So that's my primary focus. So I'll get more into that as I show you some of my other beds. This is my asparagus. Won't be ready for a few years. And this is my artichoke. It won't be ready until next summer. Takes like 2 years. And this bed here, we're getting again into the vegetable annuals. I have some cosmic purple carrots. I have acorn squash, and I have Cherokee purple tomatoes, which actually survived the freeze. They look a little beat up, but they're alive, so we'll see what happens. I'm hoping that they make a comeback and make tomatoes for me. I've never been really terribly successful growing tomatoes. Kind of like, eh. Now we're getting into my squash. I've got zucchini. I've got an Italian squash called Tondo Scuro di Picenza or something like that. It looks like a zucchini in its color and texture, but it's round. But it looked really delicious and it sounds really awesome. And then I have golden zucchini over there. I don't really like yellow squash, but I figured I tried golden zucchini. And it never really sells very well at the market either, too. So this is absolutely epic here. I've got 96 pepper plants. I've got California Wonder Bell. I've got Chocolate Bell. I've got Purple Beauty Bell. I've got Serrano, Cubanelle, Anaheim, Cayenne, Poblano. There's like 10 different types of peppers in there. It's pretty awesome. More squash over here. I've got spaghetti squash and another Italian squash called Marina di Chioggia pumpkin. It looks like a tumor. It's really ugly looking, but it's supposed to be fantastic. And then this last bed here, I just planted this. I don't really have anything else to plant, so I planted more chicken feed. And we've got purple hull peas and buckwheat. So that's a real warm weather cover crop too. So even though there's really nothing growing here, I'm growing chicken feed and I'm keeping the soil healthy. So this is my final bed I was telling you about. It's not quite ready yet, but I'm waiting for my sunchokes to come in. They're supposed to come in next month. And if you haven't seen me talk about it or don't know, a sunchoke is a relative. It's basically a sunflower. It's a type of sunflower, but it grows edible potato-like tubers on the ground. And once you plant them, they're almost impossible to get rid of. They're very invasive. So it's really a great thing to have on your homestead from a kind of a survival situation. It really produces a lot of food for you, and it's always going to be there once you plant it. So rounding out the food production systems here, I'm not really sure what I want to do about quail. I ordered 50 eggs from Southwest Game Birds. This is not a reflection on them, but 50 eggs, 12 hatched. It might be my fault. They say it's a learning curve. I've got this locked. I had an extra lock laying around, so I put it on the cage here. But 12 hatched, 3 of them died, so I've got 9. So I don't even know how many of them are females or how many eggs I'm going to be able to get. Fertilized quail eggs are viable up to a week. So whatever I can get in 1 week, I'll throw in the incubator and then see if I can increase my flock significantly enough to make this worth it. I'm not really sure. There is a YouTube channel called Living Traditions Homestead, and they talked about a heritage meat bird called a bresse. It's a French chicken. It's based in France. It comes from France, and it's very, very comparable to the Cornish cross. Nothing ever beats the Cornish cross. It's the king of meat birds. It's ready to harvest in 8 weeks. It's huge. It has unbelievable flavor. It is the king of kings in terms of meat birds. Nothing else comes close, but the bresse is comparable in that it grows very quickly, and it is a coveted meat bird by chefs and whatnot. So the only problem is bresse is like champagne. You're not allowed to call it bresse unless it comes from Bresse, France. So people are breeding bresse chickens in America, and they're calling them American bresse. Just like, people are making sparkling wine all over the world. They just can't call it champagne. But I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. If I go with the bresse, I'm going to have to pay an arm and a leg for the eggs. It's like $60 for a dozen of hatching eggs. So it might require an investment to get them started. I also looked up how you breed Cornish cross, and the original cross was a Cornish rooster with a white Plymouth hen, or I believe is something like that. That's the basic. Like 100 years ago, they were calling that the bird, the chicken of the future. But the Cornish cross that you get when you buy a broiler at the store is a very coveted and secret genetic line that is much more complicated than just taking those 2 types of chickens. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I might build another hoop house and then just keep the Cornish and the white Plymouth in one hoop house and then raise their babies in the other and harvest them and just keep that going. I don't really know. It's hard to say what I'm going to do about it, because I guess it all depends on how many eggs I can get from these quail, and if I can boost my flock up to about 40 or 50, and keep that running like a machine, then that won't be too terribly bad. If I can get like a few hundred birds a year like that, that won't be terribly bad, you know. But I'm just a little bit discouraged by the initial failure of my investment so far. So we're gonna wait it out and be patient and see what happens with this flock. If there's enough hens in there out of 9, hopefully there's 6, hopefully there's 5 or 6. In a week, hopefully I can get like 35 to 40 eggs, and that will significantly increase my flock, and then maybe I can get more out of the next brood, I guess you would call it. So that's it from the homestead, guys. Everything's going well. I didn't really bring you over to my chickens back there, but just basic. Chickens are laying about 5 to 7 eggs a day. I've got 8 hens. 5 to 7 eggs a day. That's really great. I might add a couple more hens just to increase my food security in the event of an off-grid kind of situation. I don't really need more than 7 eggs a day. 5 or 7 eggs a day. You know, 5 eggs a day really is. 6 eggs a day is perfect because I eat 4. My wife can eat 2 right now. But if we get into a situation where I'm relying on the eggs for food, without, you know, being able to go to the grocery store and buy food, then I might need an egg or 2 more a day. So, but everything's going really well here so far. And like I said, if I can figure out the how to grow enough feed for my rabbits and my chickens. And by the way, I have oats and alfalfa seeds that I got from Johnny's, and then I have 45 moringa starts in my greenhouse. Moringa is a really good tree. The rabbits love it. It's super healthy. It's got good protein. And then I'm gonna bring some mimosa tree and plant it around the yard as well, and that's really good to feed the rabbits. So if I can figure out how to feed my animals, I'll be really confident in feeding my wife and I in a grid down, real hardcore societal collapse situation, which is my goal here. This is all in, guys. I like maybe you have like this normalcy bias that everything's going to eventually return to normal, but I don't believe that at all. So I think things are going to continue. We might go through peaks and valleys, but the overall direction is going to go down, and harder, and more chaotic, and more disruptive, and a lot of people are going to suffer. It's going to suck. So that's the purpose of this homestead, is to be outside of that chaos and surviving, and hopefully even maybe thriving a little bit. So I hope you guys are doing something similar. I hope you're increasing your resiliency as much as possible. And I hope you all I hope you all are getting your act together, because it's going to be really difficult, and it's not going to be fun. And so I love you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll make another video for you guys next month. Hopefully everything continues to advance and do well here, because it's really exciting. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching.